Hi there guys, welcome to another YouTube video from Ross Perry Productions. Well, in this video I'm going to be reviewing a product, and it is a Sigmaprobe SP1 automotive voltage and test light, which looks just like that. Now, Sigmaprobe have actually reached out to me and asked me to do this review and free issued me the product. However, they have asked me to be as honest as possible. So I will point out some of the positives, but I'll also maybe point out some negatives if we find any. Now, you'll also see on the table there's a couple of other things in front of me. We've got a couple of batteries just to test it on in here. And then I also have a fluke meter. Now, this is calibrated, and I won't be actually comparing the two because they're a vastly different price point, but we'll be using it just to test the voltages. So what we'll do in this video, we'll test it on some batteries, I'll unbox the actual product, and I'll give a bit of an honest review on it. So to start with, we're just going to move everything else out of the way, and we're actually going to go ahead and unbox the product. Now, I have had this open before, but this is pretty much how it arrived to me. So we're just going to go ahead and actually open it up, get everything out on the table. So there's two bags inside, box is now empty, and in one of the bags is the actual probe, which is like that. Nice little rubber boot on the end there, just because it is quite pointy. And then inside we have the instruction manual as well. Now, I'll go through the instruction manual shortly, but it is actually quite good and quite handy. So inside the main bag is obviously the tool itself. And it just comes exactly like that. Again, there is a probe in there with just one of these rubber boots. It's always handy to keep onto those rubber boots. All right, so we're going to go ahead and actually put the probe in. So just take that black lid off. We slide that in the right way around. If you look, there's two flat spots on the side. And we just slide that straight in. And we remove the rubber boot, the other black part straight down, tighten it up. And then you can go ahead and put the rubber boot on if you so wish. Now, like I say, I would always try and keep on these for as long as you can. So just looking over the product, there's quite a nice long cable on it. I'll open that up just so we see how long it is. So there we go, it's probably about 1 meter long. And on one side, this is the common, so you can either put this on positive or negative. But one thing that did trip me up slightly was it does have a positive sign on there, whereas the way I'd use this product is I'd mainly connect that to the negative. But nevertheless, once you know that it can go on positive or negative, and we'll go through the lights in just a second. And there is also a probe as well. So this is just if you're doing more sort of delicate connectors and stuff like that, and you need to put the probe in rather than using the crocodile clip on something like a battery. Now to actually have a look at the product itself. So it's green in colour. It's obviously got this section here, which I'd assume is stainless steel, but there's no markings on it. It's quite well made. You could throw it in a toolbox and it's not going to break. The cable itself is quite nice and chunky as well. I don't think you're going to be snagging that or splitting that too easy. And then looking along the sort of shaft of the tool itself, you've got the screen here which does light up when you put power through it. There is no battery in the product, so it doesn't turn on its own, but once you put the power through it over 5 volts, it will light up. You have the incandescent bulb on the end, which can be changed, and then you have this one button. Now, the one button actually goes through the 3 different modes on there, so when you turn it on, it's automatically on mode 0. Mode 0 is the screen and the bulb on. Then you go through to click it once, it goes through to mode 1. Mode 1 is the screen on but no bulb, and then you click it for mode 2, which is actually the bulb on but no screen. I think for me, as soon as it turns on and both light up, I think that's how I would leave it. I'm sure there's reasons for you not needing both on, but for me, I'd probably use it with both all the time. So now to actually do a bit of a test on the product. So what I'm going to do is I'll start with a small battery. Now, this is one thing where you may use the different modes. Because it's such a small voltage in this battery, and especially this one because it's quite an old battery, when the incandescent bulb is on, it'll actually draw some power. So it'll be interesting to see how the power difference goes through the battery. Now, I'm going to first off use this on the negative. So I'll put that on the negative terminal of the 9-volt battery. Then I'll take my prong cover off like that, and as soon as I touch this on the positive, you'll see it's lighting up. It's telling me that there's 6.3 volts in there, and because this is on mode 0, like I say, both the screen and the bulb at the end have actually lit up. So then when I go through to mode 1, that's just the screen. So now you see it's at 6.9, maybe 7 volts, 7.1. So the incandescent bulb was actually drawing quite a lot. Now if we go through again, this is mode 2 and it is just the bulb on the end. So again, we'll go through mode 0, it's down at 6 volts, 5.9, 5.8, 5.9. Go to mode 2 and we're up at 6.7. So it's almost taken a volt of the battery's power in just doing that. Now you'll also notice that there's a red light on next to the numbers there, and that means that we've actually got it going through like the prong on the negative, and we're measuring a positive voltage. So if we swap that around, what you would expect to see is still read the voltage, but it'd actually be green, which it is, just the same. And we've got the same voltage there. Now if we go back to 0, we're back at 6.1. So still that 1 volt drop. Like I say, old battery, and what we can do is we can try that with a fluke now as well. And it is about 7.4 volts. So there is a slight discrepancy there of 0.3 volts, which is more than I would expect to see, but let's try it on a slightly bigger battery. So we'll do exactly the same test on the bigger battery here. For this one, I'll use the prong. So again, we're going to go, prong is going on to the negative for me, and we're up at 11.6, 11.4, 3, 2. Seems the battery's depleting as we're trying it. This is, again, another old battery. What I'll do is I'll just turn that off, and we're up at 11.8, 11.9. So it seems to be settling at 11.9, so I'll give it a straight test with the fluke. We're up at 12.2, so there's still 0.3 of a volt difference, which is actually consistent across both batteries. Just to talk you through the actual instruction manual as well, like I say, it's probably worth keeping this in the toolbox as well. Not like there's loads of functions and features, but just to remind you what some of the lights and that mean. So it tells you about the actual product itself and it's basically its appearance. It also gives you a list of what the components are and what they're called. It then goes through the modes. Like I say, I would mainly use it on mode 0 just because you'd have the bulb and that on, but that's because I'll be using it with a stable 12 volts mostly in a car. However, if, like you see with the small battery, if you don't turn that incandescent bulb off, it can actually change the voltage for you. So it is worth having that on there just to test as well. And then if you just wanted the end bulb on, that's just for quickly touching around just to see where there's voltage. You see, just basically seeing where there's live voltage on the car. So voltage measurement, we've seen that. Positive and negative direction, we see that with the green and red LED in there as well. Now it does do frequency prediction. Now this isn't something I would often use, but it is fairly handy when you do need it. And it's worth just reading through the instruction manuals for how the 3 different bars light up in a different formation for different like ranges of frequency. So there's 4 ranges here. You've got above 55 hertz, 55 to 50 hertz, 50 hertz to 38 hertz, and then below 38 hertz. It does say about the warranty on here as well. I believe it's a 12-month warranty, but you can check that out once you've bought the product. Okay, just to conclude with some positives and negatives and a bit of a wrap up on the Sigmaprobe SP1. Fairly well built product. It would fit in your glove box, it would fit in your side door, it would fit in your toolbox, which is nice. The cable, pretty good quality. It did have a slight discrepancy on the voltage and I would trust the fluke over it. However, you're talking 0.3 of a volt, you're fairly accurate still, and I think for most of the testing you're going to do on a car, you either want to know it's 5 volts or it's 24 volts if you've got a van or a truck, or if it's 12 volts. So I think you can probably allow that. Bulb works fine. It is incandescent bulb. I did expect, because it's a new product, maybe an LED. There's probably a reason for that. But it does mean it can blow and you may have to change it. Clickable modes. On reflection, I actually see why they've done it, especially testing it on the smaller battery where you see a voltage drop when you had the incandescent bulb on there. Again, if it was an LED, would that happen? Not sure. Nice long cable on it, so you can probably reach from the battery all the way around the engine compartment, test the headlights and things like that. So that's another good product. I like that they don't just have the crocodile clip, they also have a probe as well, because that is handy when you're looking at, say, radios and you're looking at the little connector blocks and you need to kind of stick it in there rather than trying to do something with that. I remember some of the voltage testers I've had to stick wire in and tuck that on the wire, you know, things like that. So that's quite good. Like I say, I think it's main thing that I was surprised at was the voltage difference between that and a calibrated meter, but not too much of a big deal. Now, price point, I believe this is just under $20 US posted. Now, they are available on Amazon, and I've put a link down in the description as well. But I do think if you're going to buy something like this, and that's the sort of money that you're going to be looking at, it's a pretty good product to go for, and maybe test this against a couple of others if your friends have bought other ones and see how it fares. Like I say, I've only really got it compared to the Fluke, and it's a bit of an unfair test really. So I hope you found this video helpful. I will be keeping this in the car and I will be using it periodically, so please do write some comments to me down below, and if I've had any problems with it or if you've just got any questions, I will be able to answer them in the comments as well. So if you found this helpful, please do give me the thumbs up, leave me a comment down below, check out some of my other videos and subscribe to my channel.